Good morning. Thank you, Michael, for asking me to take part in this act of worship. And if you don't know me, then I'm vicar of your neighbouring six parishes, six churches in the Rue Valley. Mark, how are things going in the lockdown for you? Have you been trying out new things? I have, like many people, been forced to try new things. One of the first things I did was sew a button onto a shirt. Now, I've not done that since I was a Cub Scout back in the Middle Ages, and it seemed to work as soon as I added the glue, which I don't remember using in 1968. All has gone well. I've also been forced to talk to friends without good reason, and that's very difficult for somebody who comes from Yorkshire to deal with emotions and talk to people, and that's been going well also. And finally this week, I really must get on with doing something about these roots. I believe mascara is the answer, I'm told. And what has this got to do with the church and the new world that will await us after this crisis is over? Will things be very different then? And will we be also asked, each of us, to new things in a new setting, new ministries, new initiatives, new projects amongst our 10 churches and their communities? I think we will, but I think that's cause for hope and good news, really. If we look back at the reading we had for Acts this morning, and that is the appointment of the 7 deacons to assist the apostles in running the growing church in Jerusalem. I don't suppose any one of those 7 men, and they were all men, felt that he was called to that ministry. And it doesn't happen like that in the New Testament. What happens is that the apostles decide they like the look of so-and-so, tap him or her on the shoulder and say, we think you can do this job. And that's it. That's how it happens. There's none of this idea of internal calling from the person. So people don't turn up to the apostles and say, oh, I really feel called to be a vicar or an archdeacon or something like that. It doesn't work like that. I mean, for heaven's sake, they chose an apostle via a raffle. So I think we've got to relook at our idea of helping God in his ministry in the church, although really it's the other way around. God helps us. And who can do what, where, and when. I used to be involved in recruiting new clergy for the church, and we always used to ask candidates about their calling, what they felt had happened, and it didn't really matter what they told us or how their calling happened, and a lot of the stories were very similar anyway. Nothing at all would happen for that person's new proposed ministry unless the church, in the form of the bishop, actually said, fine, yeah, we agree, we will now call you into the ordained ministry. And I think that's something that we've got to remember when we look ahead now in this next few months or year, that there are going to be new opportunities, there are new things to do, and I often feel that people in our churches hold back because they have this feeling that this ministry is not for them. They don't feel good enough, they don't feel churchy enough, they don't feel holy enough, almost as if ministry is reserved for a special class of people who are designed for that purpose. Well, it's certainly not true about clergy, and it's certainly not true about all ministry. If we go back to Acts, the apostles simply tapped people on the shoulder and said, go on, I think you can do this job. And they did do the job. So looking ahead now and the new world we will be in, don't hang back because you don't think you're good enough or prayerful enough or holy enough or churchy enough to do anything. It is the church's leadership job, the clergy, the wardens, PCC members, to look around and see people who can help in the coming months and years, and to go up to them and say, we think you can do this for us. You can run our IT, you can visit, you can all kinds of things. And don't you worry if you're tapped on the shoulder. Don't think I'm not good enough for this, or ooh, and panic and things like that, because God will provide what you need to do the job. All he wants us to do in this new world is to say yes. Say yes to God and these new ministries and these new opportunities that he's going to offer us. Thank you, Michael. Back to you in the studio. Amen.